idea of there being such a person as God. I think in Freud's case, he objected partly because it impinges on human autonomy. If there is this vast being, God, who created us and so on, whom we owe worship and obedience, then we aren't the top dog in the universe, as we might be otherwise. I think that was part of Freud's problem. You say, what is my response to them? Well, I think they're mistaken. I mean, I think there really is such a person as God, and I don't think their objections amount to anything. In particular, the objection that otherwise, if there is such a person as God, then we human beings can't be top dog in the universe. That's true, but I don't see why that's an objection. Why do we have to be top dog in the universe? That's that seems to me a very silly objection to say, well, I don't think there's any such person as God, because if there were, I wouldn't be top dog in the universe. Well, okay, so you're not top dog. That's okay.
在世界范围内，他1974年用分析哲学逻辑和缜密的论证表明，至伟大者真实存在，且必然存在于一切世界中。
Kant seemed to think that there is this thing, reason, which teaches us various things, and it's really quite elaborate. The Critique of Pure Reason is a really large, impressive book and so on. But I don't know that I don't see that there is any conflict between faith and reason. Reason doesn't teach us any such thing as that there's no such person as God or anything like that. That's no deliverance of reason. Where this conflict between faith and reason is supposed to arise, that's not very clear to me. You might say, well, they're different sources. I mean, reason is from a power, sort of part of our very human nature. We've got this power of thinking and the like, and faith is something else that comes later and is a special gift. Okay, that's a difference, but it's not an opposition. As far as I can make out, there isn't any real opposition.
普兰丁格在分析哲学的另外一项贡献是提出阿奎那加尔文认识论模型，表明人内心对神圣与永恒之物的存在与认识，从认识论角度完全合理，因此有神论的信仰是有保证的。
The Reformation sort of arose about this dispute between Catholics and within the Catholic Church, and then we wound up with the Reformation. But Aquinas and Calvin, for the most part, say the same sort of thing. There's not a lot of difference, though, I can see, between Aquinas and Calvin. Aquinas was much more systematic, and he wrote large books, and he talked about many different topics, which Calvin didn't talk about. But when they talk about the same topics, there's not really a dime's worth of difference between them. So I'm not sure exactly how. I mean, the Reformation then must have been about something else, not really about the difference between Aquinas and Calvin, or between Aquinas and Calvin. It must have come from some other source. And of course, we know that it did.
对一般人而言，哲学和神学都是比较摸不着边际的学问，要问及它们之间的界限，那就更难以理解了。普兰丁格以基督徒哲学家的立场，常常在各种学术场合与美国公知们辩论各种重大话题。
Well, I don't think there is any very close boundary. I mean, it's hard to say where theology stops and philosophy begins, or vice versa. And I don't think it's important either that there be much of a boundary. I mean, it's pretty clear some things are philosophy and not theology. Lots of questions philosophers talk about, the problem of universals, for example. That's not theology. But then other things philosophers talk about, especially Christian philosophers, could just as well be talked about in theology. So I'd say the boundary is very fluid and shifting and isn't very important either. I can't really remember any particular debates, and that's partly because I have a very poor memory. And the older I get, the poorer it gets. I still remember the name of my wife, Kathleen, but I don't know how long that's going to last. But I don't remember any particular occasions like that. I have given lots of lectures in secular universities and in such contexts, and there always are a lot of questions afterwards. I always really enjoyed those question periods. I never sort of found myself stumped or sort of